In 2017, Ben Affleck announced that he was set to direct and star in The Batman. But wait, you're probably saying, how could Ben Affleck have announced it 5 years ago? Also, Ben Affleck wasn't even in the movie. How could he have starred in it if he wasn't even in it? That doesn't make any sense, Wesley. What are you talking about? Well, for various reasons, Ben Affleck had to drop out of the project. So Warner Brothers elected a new director, and that director was the wonderful, the beautiful, the incredible Matt Reeves. Now, Matt Reeves is known for the first Cloverfield movie, as well as Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which is a beautiful movie, then the absolute masterpiece that is War for the Planet of the Apes. I highly recommend it. So once they had the artist known as Matt Reeves, the next step was to cast the new Batman. Enter Robert Pattinson, and cue all the 17 to 40-year-old guys going, "Robert Pattinson? Isn't that the Twilight boy? You got the Twilight guy, the sparkly vampire to be Batman? He's not Batman. He's not my Batman. No. Settle down, fellas. First of all, let me set the record straight right now. He is not Edward Cullen, okay? He is Cedric Diggory. Thank you. Secondly, the last Twilight movie came out 10 years ago. He's built up an incredible body of work since then, and if you want to check some of them out, I would highly recommend The Lighthouse. And thirdly, after the cinematic experience that I had last night watching The Batman, no, he's not any of those things anymore, because this guy right here, he's my new favorite Batman. I mean, I already believed in him as Batman. I think Robert Pattinson is a wonderful actor. And so, when the first trailer came out, I was blown away because, I mean... And even after delivering that savage beating, people were still like, "But he's the Twilight boy. How could he be Batman?" And he was like, "I'm vengeance." Yes, you are, sir. Yes, you are. Alright, so I'm going to do something a little different. I'm actually going to show you a handful of drawings during this video. About 5, I think. And while I'm showing you these drawings that I've done of Batman over the last week or so, I'm going to talk about the new movie. It's going to be sort of a review, but not really. Just me giving my thoughts more than anything else. And I'm planning on keeping this pretty spoiler-free. I'm going to do a spoiler section later on, but I'll give you a warning, and I'm also going to put an indicator on the screen, so you don't have to leave the video. You'll be safe. Just turn your volume down or mute your TV or whatever you're watching this on, and when the indicator disappears, you can turn your volume back up and you'll be good. I will also be putting a card at the beginning of each drawing that says what they are, because I'm going to be drawing different iterations of Batman over the years. Alright, so I'm probably not going to edit much. I just want to sit here and hang out and talk for a bit. First of all, I love this movie. I think it was a masterpiece, and I don't throw that word around very easily, but I think this movie is a masterpiece. I think it's a master class in terms of directing, acting, cinematography, all kinds of things, but it's just so well put together. It's extremely well written, everything about it. Robert Pattinson was obviously incredible. If you hadn't gotten my gist from the beginning of this video, I think he's amazing, and I think he owns the role in a way that no one really has before. You can tell that he loves this character and he really wants to get it right, you know? Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle is fantastic. She isn't quite Catwoman yet, but she's getting there, and there's just something about her, man. She gives off a great energy. She has very Selina vibes. It feels really comic book accurate in a lot of ways. She reminds me a lot of the animated series Selina as well. Yeah, really good. Andy Serkis as Alfred, he's great. I mean, he's not in the movie a whole lot, but he is great. With what little amount of screen time he has, he does some impressive acting, actually. He has a few tearjerker moments even, but no spoilers. Let's see. Colin Farrell as the Penguin, he's so good. And I'm sure if you've watched a review or read a review, you've heard this before, but truly unrecognizable. Not just in terms of physicality, because they do transform him to a person that looks nothing like Colin Farrell, but also his performance, his acting, his accent. He has a very New Yorker accent. It's great. He calls Batman sweetheart. At one point, he even says, "How you doing?" And it's just the way he says it. The cadence of his speech is oh man, I loved it. I loved every second of it. Every time he was on screen, he stole the show. But yeah, he's everything about him was so good. Paul Dano as the Riddler was ridiculously good. He was phenomenal. His performance was understated but haunting. He did a lot of things that really made me uncomfortable in a lot of ways, and that's the best thing that you can do as a villain, right? It's not the greatest villain performance I've ever seen. I mean, Heath Ledger still exists, but he gave one hell of a show, and that performance was phenomenal, fantastic, outrageous, haunting, chilling, had you shaking at times. He really gives off creepy vibes. There's a couple of eye movements that he does that just get you like, ugh, what is wrong with that guy? He really leaves you feeling like something is truly off in his brain, like he's actually not right in the head, but he believes that he's right, and that's what makes him a great villain. Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon was beautiful. He had a really great relationship with Batman in the movie. Again, no spoilers, but they have a good connection, and it's nice. He plays Gordon in a way that is layered, and you can tell that he's an extremely experienced officer, and he's been doing this for a long time, but he's not quite the Gordon that we know and love yet. He's getting there. He's also arguably the funniest character. Other than Penguin, I think Gordon was probably the character that had the most one-liners or just comedic effect throughout the whole movie. He said and did a few things that got a few laughs in the theater I was in. We had it was packed, and we had a lot of people in there, so he got a couple of chuckles here and there. It was nice. But yeah, great performance, great hair. The mustache was fantastic. He's just a good Gordon. Okay, so the cinematography, the direction, and the camera angles, everything about those aspects of this movie were unbelievably good to me specifically. I feel like a lot of people noticed it, but man, okay, so also the score. So the director, Matt Reeves, he also co-wrote the movie. I can't remember who the other writer was, but they put together a beautiful script. It's so well paced, and it's again understated, I think, in a lot of ways. They don't blow everything out of proportion. Nothing is pushed too far. It feels grounded, but it more so than that, to me, it feels very comic-y, very comic booky. The cinematographer, who I believe is Greg Fraser, was, oh my god, every single scene of this movie is gorgeous. Like, you could pause the movie at any moment, which I do plan to do when it's on digital. You can pause this movie at literally any moment, and that could be a painting or a screenshot, or like not the screen, like a background, a desktop background or anything like that. Every single scene has at least like 5 to 10 moments of that where you're just like, wow, this is so beautiful. The camera angles were sublime, man. Everything about this movie was art. Like, this entire film felt like one big cohesive, dark and gritty but immaculately gorgeous piece of art from beginning to end. And that's not normal. That's not something that you get every day or every year or every 5 years. This movie is special. So I'll leave my no spoiler section with that. This feels incredibly special, and I love this movie and I adore it, and I plan on watching it many, many more times. Okay, spoilers, spoiler warning. Here's your spoiler warning. I'm gonna put this on the screen, and this is mostly for like 1 or 2 people that I know specifically who are watching this. And yeah, we're gonna go see it soon. Okay, just relax. Anyway, here's the spoilers. I'm gonna keep this pretty brief, but mostly I just want to talk about the Joker. I love the Batmobile design. Also, that whole scene, that car chase was unbelievably good. Like, wow. I didn't expect them to introduce the Joker at all. I was surprised by that and taken back by that a bit. I think the voice that we got from him sounds pretty good. Again, very understated, just as a lot of other performances from this movie. He seems like he might not exactly be the Joker yet, so that's interesting. Michael Giacchino's score was fantastic, and the way it capitalized on every moment that Batman would show up. Batman's theme, oh my lord, so good. Perfect. I know it's like a play on the Darth Vader theme, I think, right? The Imperial March, but I don't know. It's such a good theme. It's incredibly well used. I think the Riddler's riddles were pretty good. I loved the detective story. I really enjoyed the way Batman and Gordon had like almost a buddy cop relationship in a lot of ways. The scene where Gordon helped Batman escape from the GCPD was perfect. The way they worked together there was sly and beautiful. I loved it. The punch was intense, and when he's like, "You could have held the punch back, man," and he was like, "I did." There's a line at the beginning of this movie where Batman says, "They think I'm hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows." And then they proceed to show you how these criminals are truly terrified of the dark just because they think Batman's there. But that means Batman is there in a way, right? Because Batman is the dark. He's like, he is the shadows. I love that. That's also a play on the League of Shadows being, like Ra's al Ghul would say, I am the shadows. And even further than that, or not further than that, but more recently, when you had Bane in The Dark Knight Rises? The movie's called Rises, the comic is Returns. When Bane said, "I am the League of Shadows," that whole scene. Nice callbacks is really good. I really thought that they killed Alfred for a second there with the bomb, and I was about to be pretty upset about that because I didn't want Alfred to die, but he didn't. The Thomas Wayne being corrupt situation, I thought was handled well, but I think they could have done it better. I don't know. I wasn't let down by that, and I'm not let down by anything in this movie It exceeded expectations all across the board. But I do think if I was going to nitpick anything, it would be that I would rather Thomas Wayne had actually been corrupt instead of them being like, oh, he's corrupt, but then Alfred is like, no, your dad was a good man, like he wasn't corrupt. That felt like it was a big story beat, but then it wasn't, you know? That's my one critique, I think, if I'm really thinking about it. Because the storylines where Thomas is corrupt are so fucking cool. I love them so much. They're some of my favorites. That's where you get into some of the Court of Owls type stuff. And this iteration of Batman, I think, would do extremely well with a Court of Owls storyline. That's where I personally would love for them to go for the sequels. I want to see the Court of Owls. I want to see the Joker, obviously. He's my favorite character of all time, and I would like to see him. But I want him to be fully realized. So I wouldn't mind personally if they introduced him in this movie, but don't give him the spotlight until the third movie. That's what I would say. Yeah. But I think that's it for spoilers. So, yeah, I love this movie. I'm planning on seeing it multiple times. I think it's a masterpiece, and if I were to rate it out of 10, I think I would give it a 10. Yeah, I never give things 10 out of 10. I never give anything a perfect score. But I have virtually nothing that I can complain about with this movie. Like, legit. That's crazy. Anyway, yeah, so that's it. I'm done here. I hope you are taking care of yourself. Just because I'm done doesn't mean you need to be done in that kind of way. If you are having trouble, please reach out to anyone who would help you. You can comment here and I'll talk to you as well. You matter, and never forget that, okay? I'm gonna go now because I'm so tired. I'll talk to you in the next video.